tell us about these big tanks.
These are 1,200-gallon below-ground cisterns. They're sitting on end because it's easier for us to load them and unload them that way. What else would you like to know? I always recommend that when you take the lid off, you make a little mark so that you get the screw holes lined up, because you can you can drill new holes if you want to, but fewer holes is better. Then you can get, because they're not measured exactly. They're just kind of screwed in.
Okay.
So you can spend a long time trying to put the lid back on.
Now tell us why you like this brand. This is Snyder. Why do you like this brand of tank?
Well, they're top-of-the-line tanks. They're heavier duty than most underground tanks. Well, most tanks in general. And they're the ones who would deal with us, so we went with them.
Okay. And so let's talk about how you deliver this to my house. Now I have to install it. What do I do? I know that I can read the instructions, but what's it going to tell me? I need to know, what am I going to do? I need to hire somebody to dig a hole? What do I need to do?
You can dig a hole yourself, but usually people have machinery dig a hole. You want the hole to be a couple feet oversized. You have lots of room to put pack the soil in around it. If you have soil that drains well and doesn't have a lot of large sharp rocks in it, you can just use the soil that you took out of the hole.
Okay.
But otherwise, you're supposed to use 50% sand, 50% 5/8 or smaller to backfill. And you backfill while you're filling the tank. So you fill a little, backfill a little, fill a little, backfill. That's to keep the tank from jiggling up out of the ground or getting crushed by somebody overzealous ground compactor or something like that. You shouldn't use a variable tank in soil that doesn't drain well, or well, you can, but you can't use them empty. You have to always keep some water in them to hold them down. Otherwise they'll float up out of the ground. And I've heard of cases where they floated up out of the ground. If you're near like a railroad tracks and the ground vibrates a lot, they'll jiggle up if they're not full.
That's interesting. So,
but otherwise a Snyder tank can be pumped empty, and most tanks don't recommend that you do that.
okay. And so, are you seeing most people installing these kinds of tanks where their well feeds it and it's a continuous flow through the tank so that the water's always refreshing itself, or are people filling it up and then just keeping it as storage? And are there any precautions you need to take if you do that?
There is everything you can think of.
Okay.
The best way is to use it continuously, so it's constantly replenishing itself and is always fresh. There's lots of ways, products out there you can put in them. We don't get involved in recommending any particular product, but there's ceramic beads that emit a magnetic resonance that keeps it good. There's oxygen products, hydrogen peroxide, chlorine, what's that other one? Lechinomera, sodium, what's the one they put in swimming pools?
Sodium chloride.
Sodium chloride, they're using that.
How about an ozone?
Sodium hypochlorite?
That's right. That's what it is.
It's the same one, MMS, the Miracle Mineral Supplement. That's the same, you can use that to put in your water. But what we decided for ourselves is they all cost a lot of money and you have to keep putting them in once you start using your water. So we're just going to use bleach and filter it before we drink it or cook with it, and not worry about it too much.
Okay. So if you choose not to do it where it's going to be a continuous feed and it's going to come through a hose, basically, then what we were talking about before was how you would install the pumps. You would install a pump on each one.
Well, you can, a lot of people plumb them from the bottom with those bulkhead fittings, and they'll plumb many of them together. I'm uncomfortable with that myself because no matter what you do, in a bad earthquake, you never know what it's doing down there after that. You know,
Okay.
and you don't want to wait till you don't have any water to find out. And
So you can't tell if it's leaking.
You can't tell if it's leaking, and I mean, you have to tamp really well around the fitting. You have to plumb the fitting such that whichever direction it goes, it tightens. And I don't, you know, there's just a lot of variables there, and there's no way to check on it. So, having it come out the top with either a barrel pump or a siphon pump, to me, that's the safest option
Okay.
as far as emergency water storage goes.
Okay.